Hi, it's Sari again from Parent Plus. The cat in the background. Just wanted to do a quick follow-up video from my video yesterday that I did about terrorism and our children, which has been shared so many times and viewed so many times. So thank you so much for that and supporting, because it is really important to myself and Jackie that we, the work that we do and the things that we share, that it does reach people, because that's the whole point of it. And we want people to get help and support, because we know it's really tough at times being a parent, and it's particularly tough when things happen that are really devastating. So I just wanted to do another little add-on, because what happens in these situations is things will change very quickly, mood changes very quickly, media changes very quickly. And this is another step where we have to be really mindful about how we are with our children and what it is now that we're saying. So in a sense, what we're doing is we're grieving as a community. And some of the things that we do in grief, we start off with shock and denial. So denial is one of the stages of grief, and that's kind of the shock, the disbelief. Now, that can obviously last a long time. But one of the other things that we do is something called bargaining, and this is what we can do. All our children, like, what if this, and it's about us trying to control our feelings, really, and control the situation. Well, what if we'd have been there, or what if somebody had just seen that man before and managed to stop him, and what if, and what if. And also one of the stages is anger. Now, this is the bit that I want to just cover briefly. Obviously, people are going to feel angry about this. Clearly we are, because things like this just shouldn't happen, and when they happen it makes us feel angry, amongst other things. And this is the bit that I always see so often in these kind of situations, that people will shift from feeling sad and feeling compassion and feeling sorry for people, and then they will shift, then there seems to be kind of a shift in mood once things like names start getting published, and we start to find information about people, about extended families. This is where then we start to put a name to a face, and we start to put a background to it, and we start to bring this person who we are all so devastated by to life, in a sense. And this is the bit where, for the majority of our children up to a certain age, and it's different for teenagers, but this is the bit that's not necessary for us to share with our children, because what comes into it is people's views, people's opinions, people's morals, people's backgrounds, people's upbringings, people's culture, people's faith, people's religion. This all then starts to come into play, and everybody's entitled to their own opinions. And actually, we all judge people. It's part of human nature. The second we see someone, we are quickly judging what we think about them, how we feel about them, whether we like them, whether we don't like them. And that changes, thankfully, but we do judge people. So none of us are perfect in that sense. So this will impact us all, and we will all have a view and an opinion. For example, myself and Jackie work together. We both, I wouldn't say disagree on things at times, but we both do have very different backgrounds, very different upbringings, and different views and morals, but we will discuss them openly, and that's absolutely fine. We're both entitled to our opinions. But what you need to be really mindful of with your children is how this is now put across, because this is not helpful for them. For them to kind of, okay, it's helpful for them to see that people get angry and that that's okay, but it's how we then feel that anger, and we show them that actually it's not healthy for us to then feel that. It's okay for us to feel angry about it, but it's how we fuel it and what we do with it. So they don't need to know all the details and all the things about faith and religion and culture and the opinions that you might have or we might have as individuals. It's not necessarily what they need to know at this time. They just need soothing in terms of their fear and their sadness and their anger. And their anger is probably more so about, children that are no longer able to live their lives. So we don't need to add detail and add fuel to that fire for them. And I'm not saying that people do it intentionally, and I will hold my hand up that I know 1,000,000% that I'm guilty of having had conversations with other adults thinking, oh, they're not listening or they're not paying attention, and they are, and they will listen and they will hear. So just be so mindful about what it is that you're saying in company of other adults. We're all shocked. We're all, in denial. We're all bargaining, as in what could have been different, how could we change this, what can we do to make this better. And also we're going to be angry. So I'm not saying don't have those feelings, but what I'm saying is just be mindful about how you process them. If you want to go speak to somebody that's like-minded, that has the same views and opinions as you, and, you know, talk to them about it. Great, but don't do it in the earshot of your children. And again, I'm not saying I'm not perfect. I know I've had conversations that afterwards I've thought I shouldn't be, it's too much, it's too much. So just know where that line is, and so not giving too much detail, and just, you know, be mindful that little ears are big ears and can hear and listen, and just think about how they might perceive that. They can take things that you say out of anger or frustration extremely literally, and explode it into some massive big thing in their mind that then becomes very scary for them. So just be mindful of what it is that you're now saying in these next stages, where you may feel angry and you may feel aggrieved about you know, the thoughts and the messages that you're putting in your children's mind when you are processing some of this stuff. So I hope that helps. If anyone has got any questions, we were discussing it a little bit yesterday in our private group about how people are getting on. If anyone's got any questions, pop in there and come and say hi. And yeah, if any worries and concerns, we're still here. Still come and have a chat with us. And I hope people are managing okay, and that your children are managing okay. We've had a fair few tears here. We had a restless night last night, and that's okay, because that's understandable. So yeah, any questions, do give us a shout, but just be mindful of this next part now and how much detail, and for yourselves as well. You know, I have been checking social media, looking at the news, and actually I made a decision this afternoon that for the rest of this evening, I'm not going to do that, because there's a huge drive in me to want to do it, because I want to know, and in some ways it soothes me, but also is stimulating, really overstimulating. And if you feel slightly anxious or on edge, the last thing you want to do is overstimulate your brain. So watch something else, read something else, distract yourself in another way, and maybe give yourself a little break from it. Okay, cheers guys.